Welcome to Silver Bar Stacker, folks. I hope everybody's doing well and enjoying the start of their Sunday. Well, it's Stack Pack Sunday here at SBS, and that means that we've got a new SBS drop. But before I get into the contents of today's SBS drop, I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the updates that we've been having here at SBS. And one of the biggest updates here, as you know, is that we've recently kind of done a soft launch of the revamping of our website that we were kind of spending the month of February working on. And so we've kind of got a new simplified structure to the website and a couple new kind of more exciting listings, I would say. A couple of the listings that we had put up that I'd like to kind of talk about that were very popular this past week and that we sold quite a few units on will be the introduction of a couple of our, I guess you could say, SBS curated listings. And this would be similar to on your other bullion stores, kind of the random design or the random year listings that you can sometimes get at a cheaper price, especially when you're looking for generic. Sometimes you just have a secondary market piece that you can get at a lower premium price. And so that's kind of our attempt at kind of replicating that sort of a thing, but with a bit of a twist. You know, when people are visiting their LCS, they kind of get in the mindset of, get in the habit of kind of looking through that junk bin and hopefully eventually finding a little gem in the rough, right? And so I want to sort of replicate that sort of experience, because a lot of times people don't ever have the pleasure of being able to shop at a LCS, and a lot of times people who have had the pleasure of shopping in LCSs are finding that those LCSs are being forced to close down. And so gone are the days of being able to go through that junk bin. And also a lot of times what happens is, even if you have your LCS, now they're kind of getting a little bit more savvy and they're thinking, oh well, I could, set aside some of the more collectible stuff, maybe flip it on eBay or something like that. And so people are getting a little bit more savvy to that, and that's fine. People kind of have to adapt with the times and do what they need to do for their business. But it's getting harder and harder to find some of those premium pieces. Maybe not so much kind of the legal tender stuff, but there's expansive amount of junk to be had out there. A lot of generic bullion and junk silver, a lot of that to be had. Premiums have started to go down, but kind of the premiums for the more premium collectible vintage stuff is it's gone down a little bit. I would say the pricing has kind of stayed pretty similar, but then now there's a lot more inventory, a lot more opportunities to buy some of the more rarer pieces, I would say. And so that's kind of the shift that I see. But anyways, I think because of that reason, because the pricing is kind of down, people have the ability to purchase more. They're going for those more premium products, especially if they can get them at a pretty decent price. And so that was sort of one of the main objectives that we had with the website revamping. Was when we introduced the website, we also introduced a couple new listings, which were kind of like SBS curated premium random design type of products. And so there's a couple different listings we had up. There's 3 of them to be exact. And so one of them focused more on the fractional type of silver. So that one is still a little bit high premium, but fractional silver is always high premium. I mean, I look at fractional silver personally when it comes to fractional bullion. I price it almost at the gram level when I'm purchasing and selling. I guess in this case, I'm selling it by the half ounce rather than selling by the ounce. But it's still quite a hefty premium that you pay on this fractional silver. In my view, it's a fair premium because that's kind of around what I'm used to paying. I usually pay by the gram. I'm trying to pay, maybe $2 a gram or something like that, roughly on average. Depending on, the more collectible stuff will go higher than that. But roughly, I'm trying to average around that. But now on the half ounce listing, it's around $25 an ounce, or $25 a half ounce. That means $50 an ounce. It's quite a hefty premium, but you have to think about the convenience of small denominational fractional bullion. People generally, a lot of times, will use their fractional bullion as giftables, as a way to barter. Not necessarily barter, but as a way to just kind of tip people, gift people, things like that. And so when you're, it's fine. Sometimes people find it more fun and more useful even than to just give people a dime. Like, a dime doesn't seem as thoughtful as a gift as sometimes fractional bullion. So there's something to be said about collecting fractional bullion, and generally speaking, I like to collect more interesting pieces when it comes to fractional bullion, because I collected for more collecting rather than stacking, right? So anyways, there's one listing up on the website for fractional bullion where it's kind of like you can get hand selected, hand curated, random selection of fractional bullion for $25 a half ounce, which is quite a bit cheaper than a lot of the fractional bullion we generally sell if you're looking for a specific design. Like if you want to go buy a 1 gram Johnson Matthey silver bar, that's going to be way more expensive than $25 a half ounce. So that's kind of what it comes down to. Another thing another listing that we put up was a premium junk bin, right? And so what I mean by that is stuff that I find to be kind of like not vintage, right? Because we're really into vintage, right? So we have a separate listing for vintage. It's kind of like a random design vintage pieces, and that ends up being at a little bit of a higher premium. I think right now it's at around, we had it at $35 an ounce, now it's at $37 an ounce. So $37 an ounce, you're guaranteed to get a vintage piece, right? So like you might get a random vintage piece, right? Johnson Matthey, Engelhard, something like that, Sunshine Mining. Now, if you go for the listing that's in between the fractional and the vintage random design listing, so we've got the vintage bin, we've got the fractional half ounce premium silver, and then in the middle we've got a random design premium junk. I call it the premium junk bin. So like a lot of times people don't care about the design. They don't care how crappy, raggedy it looks. They don't care how generic the design is. In that case, there's a lot of bullion stores there that are fighting for your business to get as close to spot as possible. I generally don't like to buy. I generally like to buy older stuff, more collectible stuff, more vintage stuff, and so generally speaking, I only collect, like in my view, I feel that they're more cool pieces. I'm not interested in collecting like generic silver buffaloes, for example. So like if you order random design listing from me, you'll never get a silver buffalo more than likely, because we just don't keep those in stock, right? Like most other stores will always have a silver buffalo. Sometimes they have multiple silver buffalo options, right? We kind of run things a little bit differently. It's a little bit higher premium stuff, but sometimes with the SPS drops, there's deals to be had, and now we're introducing kind of like more of a permanent listing where it's kind of like, oh yeah, you can get some SPS curated stuff, premium junk. So you have to pay a little bit more of a premium for it, but you're gonna be rest assured it's gonna be some cool stuff that you're used to seeing on the channel, right? And so here I've got a kind of collection of a few different types of things that we're going to be featuring on today's SPS drop. But some of these legal tender coins are the type of stuff that you can expect to see in our premium junk listing, which currently is for $30 an ounce. But as soon as those first wave of units sell out, then the price will increase on that, probably up to $32 an ounce. Our vintage bin, like I said, that had started off at $35 an ounce, and we sold through those fast. And so for the next wave, it bumped up to $37, which I still think is quite a good deal. For $37 an ounce, you're guaranteed to get some sort of nice vintage piece. Right now, there's still a few units left for the $30 an ounce premium junk before we bump up the price on that. And for today's SPS drop, we've also got something pretty exciting, which is also $30 an ounce, which I think is kind of the nice sweet spot when you're looking at some premium silver right now, with the price having gone down and the premiums having gone down. $30 an ounce, you can get some nice stuff. You might not be able to quite get your hands on a prospector round or a Sunshine Mining a vintage round so easily for $30, but sometimes if you get lucky, you can get, right now I've seen some maples kind of at a little on the lower end, around $27, $28, I think. Philharmonics I've seen around like $28, $29, I think. Eagles around 30, 32-ish. So there are deals to be had for sure if you look around. And so I also wanted to offer our weekly deal in the form of our SPS drop. And so this is how this SPS drop is going to work, folks. You have a maximum allowable units that you can purchase is 7, right? And as you can see, there's 7 different silver 1 ounce rounds here available. And so the way it works is you can purchase anywhere between 1 and as many as 7 units for this, and no more than that per household, per user, per address. Okay, now if you purchase a single unit only, and that's what you decide to do, you're going to be graced with a random year Philharmonic, okay, legal tender coin in Austria. May have a little bit of milk spotting, as you can see on this one. I'm not sure on the year, but I do have some first year. The first year that Philharmonics were minted was 2008, and I gotta say I do have some first year. This one is in fact, this is a first year. This is a 2008 Philharmonic. So you may get a first year, you may get a different year. I know for sure that all the Philharmonics that we have are earlier date, as you can see by the listing that we have for Philharmonics on the SBS website. Now, if you decide to purchase not just 1 but 2 units, then you'll be guaranteed a random year Philharmonic, but you'll also be guaranteed a random Johnson Matthey silver round, and this one happens to be the Freedom of Religion. But I have, as you know, I'm a big collector of the Johnson Matthey Bill of Rights rounds, and so I've got a lot of loose rounds from that collection as well. So I'll toss you a random design Johnson Matthey Bill of Rights round if you decide to purchase 2 nests. Now, if you want to take advantage of this $30 an ounce premium silver, premium/vintage silver deal that we've got going on this week's SBS drop, then feel free to do so, because in my view, it gets more enticing as you kind of go around the circle. So you just do 1 unit, you get yourself a Philharmonic. You get yourself 2 units. For $30 an ounce, you get yourself a Philharmonic plus a Johnson Matthey round. But if you go for 3 units, we're going to toss in this cool commemorative 1 ounce silver Krugerrand. So South African commemorative Krugerrand, 1983. So it's a 1967, 1983 commemorative Krugerrand, and I just love these. You got a nice little rim on the edge that's a little bit raised, and I just love the South African Krugerrands. Really, really nice design here. So you'll get a nice little commemorative Krugerrand there if you go for 3 units. Now, if you go for 4 units, we're going to toss you a Sunshine Mining round, and let me tell you, folks, it will be in the original mint seal, and it's not going to be a Sunshine minting. You can get yourself Sunshine minting rounds are a dime a dozen. You can get those for very close to spot, because Sunshine minting is still around. Sunshine silver, Sunshine mining, you see how it says Sunshine mining on the back? That makes this a vintage round, and not only is this a vintage round, but this is in the original mint seal. Now, 1986 is what this is dated, but I've got other dates as well, so you'll be guaranteed to get a Sunshine mining round in the original mint seal for the 4th unit, but it may or may not be a 1986 dated. May get an earlier date, may get a later date. Okay, now if you want to go a little bit heavier, grab yourself a 5th unit, and you're going to be grabbing yourself a random year Canadian maple. Now, what I love about the Canadian maple, and in fact I like Canadian maples personally more than American Silver Eagles, and I like them because yeah, the older ones have milk spotting issues, I guess. This one is a 2014, so, but I like the maples because they're 4/9 fine silver, and I just like the design on them a little bit more. I find them to be a little bit less cheesy, but I also don't really like the Queen that much. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of her. I mean, I like my mother a lot more than the Queen, for example. So that's what I personally don't like about the maple. So I consider this kind of junk. We throw this in the premium junk, and this is something that you might get if you go for the premium junk units. But in addition, it's just something that you can pick up for $30 an ounce here if you grab yourself a 5th unit. You grab yourself a random year Canadian maple legal tender $5 Canadian coin. Now, if you want to go ahead and grab yourself a 6th unit, that 6th unit is going to be a random year prospector. And now prospector rounds are my absolute favorite. If you want to learn more about prospect rounds, I'm not even going to get into it right now because Silverstruck did an absolutely epic video on prospector rounds, which are mine and his absolute favorite rounds to collect. And so why don't you go ahead and check out Silverstruck's video right now, and he'll give you a nice breakdown on some of the silver prospector rounds and the prospector proofs. Very, very nice breakdown done by Silverstruck. This right here just happens to be a very nice condition 1982, which is the first year prospector, which contain an E logo on the back. There are also some prospectors out there that have the Eagle logo on the back, but this just happens to be one of the E logo ones. So you'll be given a random year, random design prospector round for the 6th unit. Now, if you want to just max out, pay the whole $210, $30 an ounce, then you'll get yourself a nice $30 an ounce. Will get you a nice random year American Silver Eagle. This one happens to be a year 2000, but we got older ones, we got newer ones, and so you'll be guaranteed to get yourself a nice legal tender United States Mint American Silver Eagle legal tender coin. And so that, folks, sums up exactly what we've got going on for today's SBS drop. We've got an opportunity to purchase up to 7 ounces at $30 an ounce. So please keep in mind our new offerings that we've got for the premium junk bin listing, our half-ounce fractional listing, and of course our vintage bin listing. And we've got new buy now listings coming up day by day. A lot of really, really exciting stuff. And be sure to also check out the SBS exclusives tab, where we will be posting up a bunch of really unique items that you probably can't get anywhere else at all. Or else they're very, very unique things like our full year prospector sets, our full year fractional prospector sets, not full year, but I should say full fractional prospector sets, things like that, things that we painstakingly kind of put together and are obsessed with kind of collecting. And then finally, the last thing I wanted to mention was the ebook. Now, if you go to our community tab, over there you just kind of log in, create an account, and you can chat with our fellow community members. A lot of familiar faces from the YouTube community you will see have made their mark there in the chat section. But in the community chat section, you will also see pinned at the very top of that chat section, you'll see that there's an ebook that I've put together, and so I'm not sure how many people have actually seen that. It's a little bit difficult to navigate. I don't think we made it very clear how to access that, but it's basically in the community chat section. And there's a little download link there for a small ebook that I put together that kind of breaks down some of the things that you want to keep in mind as you kind of start beginning your stacking journey. And it's a very, very good resource for beginners, but also something that is maybe a good thing for you to just take a read on, because it may answer some questions you didn't know you had, or it may just help you think about some of the things even as a veteran stacker, or maybe somebody who's been stacking longer than me, which is not very long. So these are the things that I would say you want to keep an eye out for on the new revamped website, or the ebook, this new SBS drop, and our new SBS curated listings that we have set up. Thanks a lot for tuning in. I know it's been quite a long video here, but I hope you found it a fun one, and I think we're going to have some fun with videos here in the future. I've got some ideas on what I want to do to keep things interesting, and so I hope you stick around. And thanks to all the new subscribers, and thanks a lot to everybody who's been supporting us on the store. It really, really means a lot, because ever since we kind of stopped, started going on our own and trying to do things our own way, with all the issues that we've had in the past with Fleabay and banks and payment processors, it just feels good to be able to continue to have the support via our own personal website, where we have all the control in our own hands, because that's what it's all about, folks. It's all about keeping the control in your own hands, and that's why we stack the physical precious metals. Hope you have a blessed day. Cheers.